Welcome back to another TNC Sportscast. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of our Week 4 rankings for tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Make sure to like, subscribe, go to our TikTok, TNC Sportscast. Comment down below any ideas you got for us. We'll do it. And let's get right into it.
All right, so the first position we're going to talk about is the quarterbacks. At the number one spot, Josh Allen, MVP frontrunner. Me and Coop both agree on that one. Going against the Ravens, so probably going to be a shootout, but I think he'll have a good game. Next up, we got Kyler against the Commanders. Joe Burrow did have a pretty good game against them, but I mean, it's Kyler Murray. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. That Commanders secondary is not very good. I think he's going to be able to air the ball out, so he's at 2. Lamar against the Bills, like I said, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Lamar and Josh Allen are both going to have some pretty good points this week, and it's going to be a great game. Jalen against the Bucs is our number 4. The Buccaneers defense is a little beat up right now. It has some injuries. Jalen Hurts has been turning the ball over a good amount, though, which is kind of concerning, but I think he'll have a little bit of a bounce-back week, play the Bucs. And then at number 5, we have Jaden Daniels against the Cardinals. Amazing Monday night game. He was balling, had his first passing touchdowns. Him and Terry McLaurin already have a really good connection. I think it's going to build. I think they're going to have a really good matchup. I think they honestly could beat the Cardinals. Next up, we have Mahomes against the Chargers. Especially if Justin Herbert's out, I think it's just going to be Kansas City the whole time. They're probably going to have 4 now. But yeah, I think especially with Herbert out, if he is, it's just going to be a Mahomes show. And that Chargers defense is good, but I don't think they can't contain Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. I mean, they have a good amount of receiving talents. And then we have CJ Stroud against the Jaguars up next. It's CJ Stroud. He did struggle against Minnesota, but we saw what Josh Allen did to the Jaguars. And yeah, I think the Jags are they're going down. They're not as good as they were. I don't think they're making playoffs. So yeah, CJ Stroud I think is going to have a really good week against them. And then Dak Prescott against the Giants. Shout out Ben Orr. He had me actually look at Dak's record against the Giants and his passing yards. And yeah, Dak, I don't think he ever plays bad against the Giants. I don't think he's going to play bad on Thursday night against the Giants. I think it's going to be an absolute blowout, most likely, unless Daniel Jones can get Malik Neighbors the ball, and then I think it'll be a decent game. Then we have Sam Darnold against the Packers. I think he's questionable, but I think he should play. Packers defense is pretty tough. I'm not saying that to be biased, but we had 8 sacks last week against the Titans, had 2 interceptions, a pick 6, a couple fumble recoveries. I mean, our defense is pretty good. And I think if Jordan Love does play too, I think it could definitely be a shootout. And then lastly, number 10, we have Burrow against the Carolina Panthers. They did play pretty good against the Raiders, but I think Burrow played pretty good last night. Well, not last night, but on Monday night. And I think it's the Carolina Panthers. I mean, their defense isn't the best. They're a little banged up. And yeah, I think Burrow will have a good week against the Panthers.
All right, on to running backs. We got our top 10. Obviously, number 1, Saquon Barkley. He's been the best running back in the league this year. I think he's going to have another big game against the Bucs defense. Number 2, another obvious one, Breece Hall. I mean, last time he played the Broncos, he had 28 points, and I think he's going to have another big, huge week against them. Number 3, Bijan against the Saints. It's a division matchup. There's always good games when it's division matchups, and Bijan has been playing so well, and I think they're going to keep beating him. Alvin Kamara, number 4, against the Falcons. I mean, they're back-to-back. I think Alvin Kamara, he's been a stud too. I mean, he's number 2 in PPR rankings. I mean, he's just getting the ball. He's running the ball, catching the ball, getting a bunch of touchdowns. I think he's in the lead right now. Number 5 is Jordan Mason. 49ers always have a good running back. I mean, they're playing the Patriots. Pretty easy matchup. We saw what Breece did to him last week, and I think Jordan Mason will do the same thing. Number 6, Devon Achane against the Titans. I feel like they're going to really lean on Devon Achane since they don't have a quarterback. I mean, Skylar Thompson, maybe even the 3rd string because Skylar Thompson got hurt, but I think they're really going to lean on Devon Achane to help them win this game, and they're going to do short dump downs, and they're going to be running a lot. The next one, Kyren Williams against the Bears. He had 3 touchdowns last week, 31 points. I think he's going to have another big, huge week against the Bears, sadly. But, I mean, the Bears are probably going to pull it out with a win. But I think Kyren's going to have a good week because they're going to really throw the ball to Kyren. They're going to run the ball with Kyren because he's the only guy that can do stuff on that offense good. The next guy, Jameer at 8 against Seahawks. I mean, we all watched the game last year. It's gonna be a shootout. Went to OT last year. I think it's gonna be a good game again. But Jameer has been been crazy this year. He's probably gonna score a touchdown in my opinion. Number 9, Joe Mixon. If he plays, I think he'll be at number 9. They're playing against the Jags. They're probably gonna be winning by 30, so they're gonna be running the ball a lot in my opinion. And then coming in 10th, like Tarek said, revenge game here. Aaron Jones. I really like Aaron Jones. I mean, he was banged up last week, and then he played this weekend, or week 3, and I mean, he went crazy. He had 25 points, a touchdown. He had receiving work. He was the main guy in the backfield, and I think he will be a start and probably in this top 10 every week.
All right, so moving over to the wide receivers. If you look at this top 10, well, I'm going to go through it, but it's going to be right here next to me on the screen. It is not what you would have pictured coming into the season. I mean, there's guys on here. I mean, yes, some of them, but Nico Collins in the top 10, I don't know about that. But we'll get to that. Starting off first, we have Justin Jefferson against the Packers. Unless Jair locks him up like the game that I personally went to, he strapped him. But no, I think Justin's going to have a good game. Sam Darnold is really feeding him the ball, and he got drafted late in the first or mid-first in drafts, and he's definitely a top 3 pick right now. So up next, Amon-Ra against the Seahawks. Amon-Ra week 1 was kind of a dud, and then the last 2 weeks he's had over 20 fantasy points. Seahawks defense is a little bit tough, but I think Amon-Ra will pull it through. They're feeding him the ball now. Next up, CD, Crybaby, against the Giants. I just don't know what he's doing. I mean, he's not being himself. Once he got the money, he's not playing as good. The Giants secondary isn't that good. If he doesn't do good against them, I don't really know what he's going to do. And Jake Ferguson also has taken a lot of targets. Dak's kind of looking more his way, but I think he's still going to do good. CD against the Giants at 3. Next up, Rashee Rice. I mean, he's Mahomes' go-to. They're doing everything with him. Jet sweeps, they're doing screens, they're doing the out routes, the run pass option. He's at least getting 20 fantasy points in the last couple weeks. He had 29 this past week. And then Jamar Chase up next against the Panthers. I think he's going to have a pretty good week. Burrow and him had a really good connection against the Commanders, and I just think they're going to do good against the Panthers. Next up, like I said, Nico Collins against the Jags. He's looking like the best receiver on that team, and they have Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's looking amazing. I think he's leading the league still in passing. I might be wrong, but I think he is. And I mean, him and CJ have such a good connection. That Jags defense is kind of you saw it against the Bills last week, and yeah. Next up, Malik Neighbors. He is balling. I personally think it's going to be between him, Marvin, and Jaden Daniels for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But if Daniel Jones continues to feed him the ball, they could beat the Cowboys if he gets the ball a good amount of the time during that game. Next up, DK versus the Lions. That new offensive coordinator has been using DK. Gino's been giving him the ball and throwing it up, and he's definitely utilizing it. Had, like I said, with another guy, had a kind of a week 1, but since then he's been having some pretty good weeks. And then we have Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Commanders. You saw what Jamar Chase did to them on Monday Night Football. And him and Kyler have such a good connection already early on, which is awesome to see, but I think he's going to have a really good week. And then lastly, one of Cooper's favorites, he finally had a good game last week, Garrett Wilson against the Broncos. It is kind of a risk, though, because he has Pat Surtain lined up next to or in front of him, but I think he'll pull it through, and I think he'll have a pretty good week.
All right, moving over to tight ends. It's the guy that I've been really high on, and he's finally paying off. Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys. He had 11 targets last week, and I feel like Dak Prescott's going to keep looking his way. CeeDee Lamb's kind of being a little wham-wham boy right now, and I don't know what he's doing, but I think Jake Ferguson will pop off against the Giants because he's just really good at football. Number 2, we got Brock Bowers against the Browns. I mean, he could easily be at this one spot. He kind of had a dud week last week, but Brock Bowers is everything they drafted, and they're going to keep utilizing him because he's that good. Number 3, Travis Kelce. It's Travis Kelce. He can either pop off, he could have a bad week. We don't really know. I mean, all these tight ends could be horrible. But, I mean, the Kansas City said that they're going to give him the ball. They're going to throw him the ball. They're going to get him more utilized, which I really like. I mean, Tarek probably likes it because he has him in every league. But Dallas Goedert's number 4. I mean, wow, that's surprising in my opinion. I agree with it, though. I mean, he's kind of going off. I mean, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith banged up, he's the guy that Jalen Hurts trusts. And I mean, other than that, I mean, Jahan Dotson, I mean, I don't know. But number 5, we got Dalton Kincaid against the Ravens. I mean, they're connecting. Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid finally got that touchdown last week with and now they're going to keep building the relationship, and they're going to keep getting the ball to him. Next up, Kyle Pitts against the Saints. He's a boom or bust guy, and I think he might hit a boom this week. He's got a big week coming. I think I could smell it. I could smell a touchdown maybe. Hopefully the tight ends can start scoring some touchdowns, but Kyle Pitts can easily be that number 1 guy as well. Mark Andrews, this guy's about to be kicked off my top 10 list. What the heck, bro? 0 points last week. But he has to be up here. It's Mark Andrews. Lamar has to decide if he's not throwing the ball to him or if he is. I'm pretty sure in a couple weeks, Mark Andrews might be out of this list, in my opinion. Cole Kmet up next, another high riser, in my opinion. I mean, he had 11 targets last week as well. He had a really good game. He almost had 100 yards, and then he had a touchdown, which tight ends don't really do this year. But I think he's going to keep doing good. I think they finally said that this guy is better than Gerald Everett, which I know is going to happen. And then after that, Zach Ertz, the Cardinals. And, I mean, he's getting those receptions, which is really good for him. And next up, at finally 10, Pat Freiermuth. I mean, it's another guy that's getting receptions. He's not going to be that boom guy. It's going to be number 1. But he's going to get you probably 9, 8, 10 points. But, boys, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, go down, comment some ideas, maybe comment something that we did wrong, like say I don't agree with it, I don't care, I want to see you guys' opinions. But go to our TikTok too, TNC Sportscast, we'll be posting on that. Maybe you can help us with ideas on that too. Comment on those, tell us if we are stupid or if we're smart. But one last thing, boys, see ya.